It has been over 15 years since the last Dragon Ball Budokai game. 15 years! Now here in 2024, we finally get another one, and we're gonna go through it and see if it actually lives up to the hype and does justice to those old Budokai games, or if it's just a bunch of fake hype that doesn't live up to expectations. Now, the very first thing that I noticed about this game is the name of it, because the name of Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, or I guess technically Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I don't think the Z's in it, doesn't matter, but the name is absolutely fucking awful. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are gonna say that, oh, it's called Sparking because the Budokai in Japan, like da-da-da-da-da, and I don't give a shit because we're not in Japan, we're here in the States or Europe or wherever you're watching this from, but our title is in English, and the title Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is dog shit. The name is horrible. Now, when I was in middle school and you told somebody, oh, hey, yeah, well, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna play some Dragon Ball Z Budokai. They're like, oh, yeah, dude, sick. That sounds lit. Except nobody said lit back then, but you get my point. Nowadays, if I was in middle school and I told somebody, oh, yeah, I'm gonna go home and play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I'm gonna get my ass beat. And you know what? I deserve to get bullied for that shit because I'm not going home to play Sparking Zero. I would never tell somebody that in my life. I would say, yeah, I'm going home to play the new Dragon Ball game. I would never tell them I'm playing Sparking Zero, bro. Come on. Who came up with that name? Now, in Japan, it probably sounds cool because they don't really know what the words mean, just like how Budokai sounds cool here and nobody knows what Budokai actually means, but here Sparking Zero sounds fucking stupid. But let's move on past that before all the Dragon Ball Z fans put a knife to my neck. I promise. Hold on. Just wait. Just hear me out. The next thing I noticed is that the title screen was just rocks. Like there was nothing there until I realized that that was only for the tutorial and not when you launch it again later. It gives you an actual title screen, which is a little bit weird. But the reason that the rocks are there is because the opening sequence is immediately after you press a button to start it, and it's a fight against Vegeta as Goku that starts off as soon as you start the game. And I could not have thought of a better way to start the game than playing as Goku fighting Vegeta off the rip. Like as soon as you press a button to open it, you're already in the middle of it. And the way that they did it was awesome because it literally feels like I'm watching the Dragon Ball Z anime again. They managed to capture the vibes perfectly for this part. And it definitely set expectations a little bit high because I loved the Budokai games. Me and my friends still to this day will drink and boot up the GameCube and play the old Budokai and beat the shit out of each other and yell at each other and spill our alcohol all over the floor to this day. And now I'm hoping at this point, my expectations are high, and I'm hoping that this game can be a modern day version of that and replace that for us. But I finished up this fight with Vegeta, this intro sequence, and I went on to the episodes mode, which is basically the story mode of this game. I took on Raditz underneath the ocean. We both pretended to be Aquaman, but I feel like we killed a lot more fish than we saved. But then Piccolo came on and he asked me if I wanted some help, and he was like, dude, I can help you take down Raditz. And I told Piccolo to eat shit, which was a horrible idea because I went after Raditz after that, and then Raditz beat the shit out of me. So after getting my ass beat a few times, I decided just to run from him. I had Goku flying around in circles doing this weird looking shit with his arms flailing all over the place, and it turns out I didn't even need to beat him. I just needed to survive. And then Gohan had to come in and bail me out. My own son. That shit's embarrassing. Gave this fucking nerd Nappa a spirit bomb wet willy, and I was feeling it. I was fucking people up. And then I ended up having to fight Vegeta again, and things were going great. I was holding my own until he turned into a giant monkey, and then he just beat the absolute shit out of me and completely murked me. So I decided I was gonna go ahead and move on after that. After all of that, I decided to go try the tournaments mode and hold my own tournament of power, where I kept either flying off myself or getting knocked out of the fucking map over and over and over again. But I somehow still ended up winning. I don't know how that actually happened. And feeling way too cocky, I actually went into another tournament, but this time I turned it up to max difficulty. And I managed to sneak out a win until Vegeta came in and just beat the absolute shit out of me again, because fuck you, Vegeta. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero definitely captures the feel of those old Budokai games, and it is fast-paced as hell. I mean, this is no slow, methodical fighting game. This shit is in your face, quite literally. It really does feel like they just dropped you in the anime and you are doing these fights for real. It's extremely cinematic, and they actually brought back my favorite part that has been missing from Dragon Ball games, and that is the environmental destruction and actual terrain changing during battles. Whether you're knocking somebody through a big ass rock, a building, you're punching them into a fucking crater in the earth. These Saiyans and all these other people are supposed to be like the most powerful fucking beings in the universe, and they finally feel like they actually pack a punch. And shit like that is just what's been missing this whole time since the original Budokai games back 227 years ago before the Fire Nation attacked. Over time, your characters, as you constantly get your ass beat because you're not as good at this game as you think you are, your clothes, they get torn and they get scuffed. And it will happen because you're going to get shit on. Because there is so much going on in this game that in the little amount of time that I had to actually record and set up for this review overview type thing, I could not get anywhere as far as skill. I managed to just get down the absolute basics, and that's it, because there's a lot more going on past that. And I did not get into any of it. The combat's definitely deep, and there's a lot of shit that you're gonna have to go in and actually figure out and practice if you want to be any kind of good at this game, which is something I might actually do, because this game is fun. I could see myself playing it after this video, but while making this video, I was still absolute dog shit. But the way the fights feel and the environments are it's just great. It feels like a modern day version of those old games, weather changing and the terrain changing during battle, and it really feels like there's a lot of weight and consequence to these fucking all-powerful beings just punching the shit out of each other and not giving a shit about anybody who lives there. The game is honestly awesome and fun to play, but it does have a couple of issues. One, I'm gonna leave a little asterisk next to this because I'm not entirely sure if this is actually the game or if this is on my end, but I had a lot of frame drops and a lot of times where it would just randomly lag. But I was recording, and when I went back to play it later after I had been done recording and I wasn't recording anymore, it wasn't as bad. And I did have the settings all the way up, but I'm on a high-end PC and the game isn't that high in fidelity graphically that I feel like I should have had any issues. But like I said, a little asterisk next to that one because I don't know how it performs on PlayStation or other PCs, especially when you're not doing stuff like recording and stuff like I was doing. So a little asterisk next to that one, but it was still playable. But one thing that actually was low-key an issue is the camera. That camera in this game is all over the fucking place. It's so hard to keep up with what's going on sometimes that if this game was a car accident, I would be looking for a settlement because this camera gives me whiplash. Sometimes it's alright, and then sometimes it kind of glitches out a little bit, and this game is already so fast paced and just jerking you all the way over here and then over there and then over there and just like quick as fuck that as soon as it starts to mess up a little bit, it is so jarring to the point that it almost started giving me a headache. Now, it's not unplayable or anything like that, but it is something that I hope that they could smooth out over time because it can get rough. One thing I do want to mention though before we move on to the next part is that the shop system from the old Budokai games is back, and this game really feels like it's just a PS2 game in 2024. But with all the nice stuff and improvements in graphics and gameplay and all that level of enhancements of modern gaming versus, you know, an actual PS2 game that when you go back and play it is actually bare bones as fuck and plays like shit. The gameplay is not any fun, but it feels like how I remember PS2 games feeling, even though we know that they don't feel like that anymore, but whatever. You can buy characters, music, shit like that, and it's not microtransactions or nothing. It's all currency that you earn in-game, just like it should be, just like the good old days, because I'm old, and that's the kind of shit you just love to see. Now, there's some other stuff in this game, but the two that I really want to talk about, the main ones that I feel like I would enjoy and that most people would enjoy is, first off, the episode mode, which is basically the story mode in this game. And the way that they've done it is so sick. I don't have enough hours in it to know if it's fully fleshed out and done properly, but conceptually, I'm in love with the idea. So basically, a quick little rundown of what it is and how it works is the episode mode covers major story arcs from Dragon Ball Z and Super. You get to play 8 different episodes from 8 different characters and their point of views, and depending on what happens and the decisions you make, and sometimes, you know, if you beat people that you shouldn't have beat or whatever, you can unlock like alternate timelines and what if scenarios that actually change the story from how it actually happened in those shows. I really need to put some more time into it, and honestly I think I'm going to keep playing this and put some more time into it. But this mode conceptually is one of the coolest sounding modes because you get to go back and live those moments from the animes, and if you're somebody that's super familiar with them already, you get to relive them or live them differently than they actually happened. Now, I'm not a big enough Dragon Ball Z fan to fully appreciate this, but I imagine for people that know the lore super deep and have seen all of every single episode of those shows, they're gonna love this shit. And the other mode, tournament mode, in the old Budokai games, it was literally just a tournament, but in this one, they actually amped it up a little bit, and you can do iconic events like the Cell games and Tournament of Power and have those tournaments, and that shit is awesome. And I imagine that's where a lot of my time is is going to be spent. Me and my friends drinking, playing tournaments against each other. One of my friends spilling his drink on the floor again like he does every time, and if he's watching, he knows that I'm fucking talking to him. Bitch, you better clean that shit up. And just having a good fucking time, though, because there's so many characters, too. Like, you can really play as just about anybody that you want to play from Dragon Ball that you know. And getting better at this game and getting it down and becoming a really good fucking fighter in it, and then coming in and just playing the game is going to be fun. Even after you've completed all of the episodes and probably tried all the different story arcs in them that you can do, still fighting in this game is going to be fun. Whether you do it online, whether you do it against the computer or against your friends, and getting better at it is going to be its own reward, just like classic fighting game style stuff. But the Budokai games just have something special about them that make them more engaging. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, with the dumbest name I've ever fucking heard, had a lot of hype to live up to with Dragon Ball Z Budokai, one of the ultimate classic fighting games of all time. Now, does it live up to that Budokai hype? For me, yes, it does. It actually does. I haven't gotten a whole lot of time in it to fully give it a glowing review and say that this game is absolutely amazing in every way, because it does have a couple of issues, and I don't have that much time in it to do that. But from what I have played, it is fun as shit. It reminds me of the old games. It plays good. It looks good. It's got a bunch of characters. The modes are cool, and it's faithful to the shows. If you're a fighting game fan, you're gonna enjoy this game. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, you're going to fucking love this game. If you're a fan of neither, then I don't know, it's probably not gonna be your cup of tea, but maybe still even give it a chance, because the fighting in the Budokai games is just always a fucking highlight in gaming. I would have to give Sparking Zero more time to say it's truly a great game, but it is a really good game, and I hope that it can replace those game nights for us playing Budokai on the GameCube and finally retire that old bastard and bring out Sparking Zero. And I think it might just be. So while I need more time to say it's truly great, at the bare minimum, it's really good. If you think you would enjoy this game at all, you probably will. And if you don't think you would, you might still will. And it might be hard to get an actual feel for the gameplay just from watching my video, where this is more of like an overview, review sort of, but not really kind of deal. So if you want to see actual more gameplay of this game, of somebody actually just sitting there and playing it, you gotta go check out Danny's video. Honestly, this video wouldn't even have existed without him, so go check out his video and give that some love, and I'm gonna link that down below so you can go watch somebody actually play the game. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, whether you did or didn't, and whether you did or didn't enjoy the game, let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.